This is episode 7, and it's time for me to unveil the secret weapon that will get your butt into gear and allow you to start taking action towards this new life that you're creating. It's a tool so powerful, it can transform your business before you even have one. Are you ready for more confidence and clarity in your journey to ditch the 9-to-5? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the world of networking. And trust me, it's nothing like the stuffy corporate mixers you're used to. This is networking reimagined, and it's about to change everything.
Welcome to How to Quit Your Job, a mom's guide to creating a life and business you love. It's a podcast that helps working moms just like you optimize your time, manage your mind, and start a business that helps you create more freedom, flexibility, and yes, fun. I'm business and mindset coach Jenna Reichel, and I offer practical tips to help you ditch the 9-to-5. I've been exactly where you are, and I know what it takes to make the transition without trading one form of burnout for another. So let's get started.
Hey there, ambitious moms. If you've been following along to my podcast, I know your brain is reeling with questions that seem impossible to answer. Where do I even start? How do I go from being a cog in the corporate machine to the CEO of my own business? Well, my friend, I've got news for you. The first step isn't crafting the perfect business plan or even securing funding. It's not even about having an idea of what you want to do fully fleshed out, though I hope you're feeling a little closer after listening to episode 6. Nope. The first step is something so simple, yet so powerful, and it's often overlooked or put on the back burner. And that's networking. Now, before you roll your eyes and picture those awkward corporate events where everyone's just trying to climb the ladder, let me stop you right there. The networking I'm talking about is a whole different ballgame. It's not about fake smiles and empty promises. It's about genuine connections, mutual support, and stepping into your new identity as an entrepreneur. In today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the transformative power of networking for mom entrepreneurs. I'm also going to show you exactly where to find these magical spaces and how to make the most of your time networking so that you see results. And I know networking feels very scary and vulnerable, but I'm going to show you why it's absolutely necessary and how it can be fun no matter where you're at in your business. By the end of this episode, you'll be itching to get out there and start making those connections, and it will absolutely change the trajectory of your life and business. So first, I want to talk about the hidden power of networking. And we need to start by addressing the elephant in the room. When I say networking, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? If you're anything like I used to be, you're probably picturing a room full of suits, forced small talk, and the uncomfortable dance of trying to seem interesting, but feeling like an imposter, all while playing a mental chess game of who should I talk to in order to climb the ladder. But here's the good news. That is not networking. At least not the kind of networking that's going to transform your life and business. And honestly, that's just not what networking looks like for mom entrepreneurs. We're a different breed, thankfully. Imagine walking into, or logging into, if it's virtual, a room filled with other moms just like you. They're successful, they're ambitious, and they're all on a mission to create a life they love. The energy is electric. There's laughter, genuine conversations, and an overwhelming sense of support. This is what real networking looks like in the entrepreneurial world. And it's a game changer on so many levels. And I know firsthand because I've experienced all of that over the years, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not an entrepreneur yet. I don't have a business to talk about. And that, my friend, is exactly why you need to start networking now. Because networking isn't just about promoting your business. It's about growing as a person, gaining clarity on your vision, and surrounding yourself with people who will lift you up and push you forward. When I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I was terrified of networking. I felt like an imposter. I mean, who was I to call myself an entrepreneur when all I had was a vague idea and a whole lot of self-doubt? But I forced myself to go to these events. And you know what? It ended up being one of the best steps I could take to help myself and my business evolve. Yes, at first it was uncomfortable. I stumbled over my words when people asked what I did. I felt like a fraud introducing myself as a business owner when my business was barely more than a couple of clients I was coaching for free. But with each event, each conversation, something magical started to happen. I began to believe in myself and see myself differently. I started to see myself and my ideas through the excited eyes of others. I found mentors, collaborators, and friends who understood exactly what I was going through and who I still meet with and collaborate with today. And here's the kicker. I didn't land a single client from those early networking events, not one. But what I gained was infinitely more valuable. I gained confidence, I gained clarity, I gained a support system that has been instrumental in getting me to where I am today. And this is the experience of so many of my clients as well. I feel like I initially need to lovingly nudge them to attend their first networking events, but once they do their own mindset work and expectation setting work, they really start to have fun with it. One of my clients specifically was just so hesitant to network with people and even hesitant to grab coffee with folks she already knew to just talk about her business ideas. And now it's so cool. She hosts a regular roundtable where she's the host of a networking event. Now, if I would have told her that she'd be one day hosting her own networking event, she probably would have laughed at me. But it's so cool to see how people can truly transform once they start taking small steps like this one. What's important to take away from this is that where you are now and how you feel now is not the final chapter. You're going to learn and grow so much in so many ways in this entrepreneurial journey, and it's going to blow your mind. Stepping into rooms, even virtual ones, and feeling a little uncomfortable will change you, just like it did with my client and me. And that's a good thing, no matter how far along you are in your business. So if you're sitting there thinking you're not ready to network because you don't have it all figured out, I want you to flip that mental script. You're not networking to showcase a finished product. You're networking to grow, to learn, and to step into the identity of the entrepreneur that you're becoming. It's not about having the perfect pitch or pretending to be someone who has it all figured out. It's about showing up as you are, with your dreams, your doubts, and your determination. It's about being open to learning, to connecting, and to growing. I've briefly mentioned why I think networking is so important. I want to go a little deeper on 4 of those reasons to really convince you to take that first step. Okay? The first and often hidden benefit is having a space to really practice your new identity. Let's imagine you walk into a networking event, someone turns to you and asks, "So, what do you do?" How do you respond? If you're like most early entrepreneurs, you might feel a flutter of panic. Do you talk about your current job? Do you mention your business idea, even though it's not off the ground yet? This moment, my friend, is golden. It's your opportunity to practice stepping into your new identity as an entrepreneur. When you introduce yourself and tell a bunch of strangers you own a business or are starting one, it feels really weird at first. You might feel like a complete imposter, just like I did. But here's the magic. As you keep doing it, it gets smoother and easier. And the more you say it, the more you start to believe it. Like I said, I remember vividly the first time I introduced myself as a business owner at a networking event. My voice shook, I stumbled over my words, and I was sure everyone would see right through me. But you know what? Nobody called me out. Nobody laughed. Instead, people were interested. They asked questions, they offered support and encouragement. And with each event, each introduction, the words started to flow more easily. I began to own and believe in my new identity, like I mentioned. And let me tell you, once you start believing in this new identity that you're sculpting, there's nothing you can't do. Okay? The second hidden benefit is that networking will help you gain clarity on your vision. One of the most beautiful things about networking, especially in the early stages, is that it gives you a space to get clear on what you actually do. Even now, with my business where it is, I still switch up how I introduce myself and how I talk about my business. Sometimes the way we introduce ourselves lands better than others. So I've introduced myself and gotten completely blank stares, and I've introduced myself with slightly different wording and gotten a bunch of people reaching out to connect with me. This process of refining how you talk about your business is invaluable. It really forces you to distill your vision into clear, concise language. It helps you to identify what resonates with people and what doesn't. So don't be afraid to use networking spaces as a testing ground for how you talk about what you do. Remember, the goal isn't to have it all figured out from the start. The goal is to learn, grow, and refine as you go. Another huge benefit of networking, and I guess I should say networking for connection rather than climbing the corporate ladder, is that it's a space to get inspired. One of the most unexpected benefits I found from networking was how incredibly inspiring it was, and still is. I remember being blown away when I started to hear about all the amazing businesses that people are running out there. It's a whole world that I had no idea existed. I had spent 10 years in corporate, and prior to that, almost a decade in college and higher education. So my understanding of the job market and what people do for work was very narrow. You go to school, you apply to jobs, get a job, you work your way up the corporate ladder into leadership, and then you retire, right? I absolutely never saw myself as an entrepreneur, and frankly, the idea never appealed to me until I saw just how much flexibility and freedom my husband had as an entrepreneur. Networking opened my eyes to possibilities I had never even considered for people who were more like me. I met women who were running successful businesses in industries I didn't even know existed. I heard stories of moms who had completely reinvented themselves, creating businesses that aligned with their passions and allowed them to be present for their families. These stories and connections expanded my horizons. They showed me that there wasn't just one path to success, but infinite possibilities. And more importantly, they showed me that it was possible for someone like me, a mom with a corporate background, to create something amazing. Okay? The fourth benefit is that networking helps you build a support network. One of the most valuable aspects of networking, especially for mom entrepreneurs, is the opportunity to build a robust support network. When you're transitioning from a corporate career to entrepreneurship, it can feel really isolating. Your colleagues and friends in the corporate world might not understand the challenges you're facing or the dreams you're pursuing. And if you're like me, your entire network is in the 9-to-5 world initially. But when you start networking with entrepreneurs, particularly other moms, you gain so much support. These are the people who get it. They understand working on your business plan after the kids are in bed. They know the struggle of balancing family responsibilities with entrepreneurial ambitions. They know the unique struggles that summer brings. I know all you moms out there are feeling it this summer. And they're there to cheer you on every step of the way. I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck on a problem in my business, feeling overwhelmed and alone, only to reach out to a connection I made through networking and find not just support, but practical solutions. These relationships become your lifeline as you navigate the ups and downs. And it's not just problem solving. It's people who are more than happy to amplify your business. Whenever I'm launching a new program or offering, and even with this podcast, I call on my robust network of mom entrepreneurs to amplify the message to their people. And the reach is so much wider than what I could tap into from my following alone. And here's the beautiful thing. It's not just about what I can get from these relationships. It's also about what I can give. I'm constantly doing the same to support other moms who are doing great work and whose businesses align with my mission. This give and take creates a powerful community that lifts everybody up.
Hey moms, just jumping in real quick. If what I'm sharing resonates with you and you're ready to make real changes in your life, I'd love to support you. Through my one-on-one coaching program, I help moms just like you create the strategy and accountability needed to build a business and life you love. Ready to explore what's possible? The link to apply for a free strategy session is in the show notes. And if you're not quite ready for coaching, please join our free Mom Entrepreneur Circle, a community of moms who get it. All the links are waiting for you in the show notes. Go to jenna.coach/episode number to check it out. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
In this next section, we're going to talk about how to find the right networking opportunities and what to look for in a networking group. But if you take nothing away from this episode so far, remember that networking isn't something you do once you have a business. And it's not something you do just to find clients. Networking is how you build the foundation for your business and your new identity as an entrepreneur. It's not just about what you can get, it's about what you can give, what you can learn, and who you can become in the process. All right, now that I've convinced you to go forth and meet new people, let's talk about where to find these magical networking spaces. Because let me tell you, once you start looking, you'll realize there's a whole world out there of people gathering specifically to connect, share ideas, and support one another. When I first started out, I was amazed at how many networking spaces existed that I'd never known about. It was like discovering a secret society of passionate, driven individuals, all working towards creating lives they love. And the best part was that many of these spaces are specifically designed for people like us, moms who are balancing family life with entrepreneurial ambitions. Now, I'll be honest with you, not all networking events are created equal. There are definitely some out there that might make you feel a bit, yucky. You might know the ones I'm talking about, where people are just talking at you, giving you their rehearsed pitch, and not even really listening. But here's the good news. Those are easy to spot and even easier to avoid. What we're looking for are the events and groups where people are making real connections, where the focus is on building relationships, not just exchanging virtual or tangible business cards. When we target events where the focus is on building relationships, that's where magic happens, where ideas are born and where you'll find the support and inspiration I was just talking about. So how do you find these golden networking opportunities? Honestly, Google's going to be your best friend for most questions like this, but there are definitely ways that you can target your searches to find even more of what you're looking for. The first thing is to decide whether you want to attend a networking event in person or online. I recommend starting with an online event because it's just easier. There's less obstacles. You don't have to worry about where to park or what to wear or anything else that's needlessly stressful. That being said, I do think a mix of in-person and online networking events are ideal eventually. In-person is always going to give you more connection than online, but many online connections can lead to in-person or deeper follow-up connections. So honestly, whichever one gets you taking action first is going to be your best bet. I'll include a few of my favorite networking events in the show notes that we're running regularly at the time of this recording. They're all extremely inviting spaces that focus on helping people make real connections. So once you decide whether you want to attend an online or an in-person event, they're incredibly easy to find. And I want to share just a few suggestions that I have of how you can search and where you can find them. The first is searching through different online platforms. Start by exploring platforms like Meetup, Eventbrite, or even Facebook events. Search for terms that either align with you or your industry. So for instance, you can search terms like mom entrepreneurs, women in business, or startup networking. There will be online options, but you can also filter to target your location area in case there's some in-person meetups as well. You'll be surprised at how many events pop up. Another great place to look for networking opportunities are professional organizations. Again, look at ones that align with you or your industry. There are great professional organizations for women like NABO, which stands for National Association of Women Business Owners, and they have local chapters and booming national presence. There's tons of networking events, both virtual and in-person nationally. And NABO is just one example, but I'm sure you'll be able to find a ton of different professional organizations that you can join. Another type of event to search and consider are industry conferences. So while these might be a little bit more of a financial and time investment, industry conferences can be gold mines for networking. Look for ones that offer networking sessions or breakout groups, and consider that down the line, it might make sense for you to actually speak or present at one of these conferences. So attending as a participant and, getting comfortable with how they work is always great. Another place to find networking events are online communities. So these are communities like Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, or even membership-based groups that offer regular gatherings. I'm part of a membership group called Hey Mama that I have absolutely loved being a part of. There is a yearly fee to join, but I get back so much value from the connections I can make. There's not only monthly one-to-one networking events, but there's a ton of value that I get from the in-person events that they host as well. So definitely check that one out, mamas. Another great way to meet people is through workshops and classes. So this one is double bang for your buck because you're not only learning and acquiring some skill from the class, but you're also putting yourself in a room with other people who can potentially meet you and you can build meaningful connections with. So attend workshops or classes related to entrepreneurship or your area of interest. And it's a great way to learn new skills while also meeting like-minded individuals. These few suggestions on where to start your search really just scratch the surface. Once you start meeting people and going into new spaces, it's usually a snowball effect where through those connections, you learn about more opportunities. And if that's not happening organically, when you meet with people one-on-one, just ask them if there are any other networking events they've found valuable. And I promise there will be a ton of opportunities that are handed right to you. And keep in mind, the goal is not to attend every networking event out there. It's about finding your people, the people who will support you, challenge you, and inspire you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking that's great, but I'm an introvert. The thought of walking into a room full of strangers terrifies me. Trust me, I get it. I'm an introvert too. And any group more than 2 people, I get extremely sweaty and uncomfortable. But here's a little secret. Many entrepreneurs are actually introverts. And many of the best networking events are designed with this in mind. Look for events that have structured networking activities, maybe small group discussions or even one-on-one matching. These formats can be much less overwhelming than large open-ended mixers. Also, I've never shied away from telling everyone in the room exactly what I was going through before I introduced myself. I'd say something like, "Hi everyone, I'm Jenna. I'm really nervous right now because speaking in front of a big group terrifies me, so please bear with me." Some of the best connections come from being vulnerable because so many other people in the room felt the same way. So like I said before, in the spirit of helping you get started, I'll include links to a few of my favorite networking spaces in the show notes. And these are groups that we're actively running at the time of this recording and have been super valuable to my own journey. And of course, everyone should join the Mom Entrepreneurs Circle that I host. It's a monthly gathering specifically for mom entrepreneurs, no matter where you're at in your business. It's a space where we come together, share our challenges and victories, and really support each other in creating the lives and businesses we dream of. We have a WhatsApp group and it's full of the most lovely humans. I'll include a link to that as well. And if you're struggling to get started with networking, definitely attend that one because I aim to make it incredibly safe and welcoming to moms at every stage. So you will definitely feel comfortable. I just know it. Okay, we've talked about the hidden benefits of networking and how to find the right event for you. So now I have to talk about how to make the most of your networking experiences. Because at first, it's all about just showing up and building that muscle. But once you get into the groove, it then matters more what you're doing with those connections. So here are a couple of strategies I recommend keeping in mind before you jump into that first event. The first is to prepare your introduction. Remember what we talked about earlier? Practicing your new identity? Well, here's where the rubber meets the road. Prepare a brief and engaging introduction of yourself and your business idea. This doesn't need to be a polished elevator pitch. In fact, it's often better if it's not too rehearsed. You just want to be clear and concise in explaining who you are and what you're working on. Bonus points if you can include a hint of your why in your introduction. People connect with passion and purpose. If you can convey why you're excited about your business, others will get excited too. Another great thing to include is something unique or fun about you. It doesn't have to be really thoughtful or exciting. One of my favorite examples was once my dog Bubba ate an unknown amount of corn on the cob, which dogs and humans can't digest, so it was a whole thing. But for the networking events I attended over the course of that week, I shared that my husband and I were on poop watch with Bubba to make sure he wasn't clogged up, and I've never had so many people follow up with me. Everyone was invested in whether Bubba was going to pass the corn, which he did, for all those wondering. So including a little bit about you or your life definitely helps people to feel more connected to you. Okay, the second bit of advice or recommendation is to listen more than you talk. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is trying to sell themselves too hard. Remember, effective networking is about building relationships. It's not about delivering a sales pitch. So practice active listening, asking thoughtful questions, and really show genuine interest in other people's stories. Not only will this help you to make more meaningful connections, but you'll also gain a ton of inspiration from those folks. And then the spotlight is off of you, which is lovely for us introverts. Okay, third, be authentically you. It's tempting to try and present a polished, perfect image when networking, but people connect with authenticity, not perfection. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to admit what you're still figuring out, and to ask for help or advice. I mentioned earlier that my sharing of being sweaty and nervous before an introduction was one of the events that I connected with people the most. And it's true. So be authentically you. Fourth, follow up and nurture relationships. The real magic of networking actually happens after the event. So take notes and write down people's contact information so that you can follow up with them after you meet. Send a personalized message, reference something that they mentioned in the event. If you promised a resource or to send them something, make sure you follow through. Consider setting up one-on-one conversations with people you want to get to know better or people you found interesting. These deeper conversations are really where the real relationships are built. My last recommendation is one that may also get some eye rolls, but that's okay. Take it or leave it. But it was a difference maker in my journey. I encourage you to track your networking efforts through metrics. You can take the girl out of corporate, but you can't take the corporate out of the girl, I guess. I want you to create metrics around how often you want to attend networking events and how many connections you want to make. This is one of the first things that one of my coaches provided for me, and it was an absolute game changer. Networking no longer felt aimless. I was meeting my own metrics that I set for myself. I know we all want to get away from corporate metrics, but they are a lot more fun when you get to set them yourself. Networking can often feel aimless. When we aren't getting clients from these networking events, it can feel like something's not working. So create metrics that work for you and celebrate the wins as you check the boxes. And while it might seem a bit counterintuitive to apply metrics to relationship building, having some structure can help you stay accountable and see the value of your efforts. I keep a simple Excel spreadsheet where I know what I want to do each week as it pertains to building my network. And I'll also be sure to share it with you in the show notes so you can use it as a starting point. Of course, my metrics may not float your boat, but you can always create a copy and use it as a starting point. I'll also include a worksheet that helps you keep track of all the people you're meeting so you can easily check back in and keep those connections meaningful. Honestly, it's hard to even remember to check in with our family and friends nowadays. So these new people you're meeting have absolutely no chance of taking up real estate in your memory unless you have a system to keep track of it all. So check out the link in the show notes to access the free Excel document. It's the same resource I share with my clients for help with organizing how they network. I want you to remember that building a strong network takes time. Don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Some of the connections you make today might not bear fruit for months or even years. But if you consistently show up, engage authentically, and nurture your relationships, you'll build a powerful network that will support you throughout this journey. And I know I have shared so much, but it's so hard not to, because I know that networking feels difficult. And I know you probably feel like an imposter going into those spaces, but it's such a great growth opportunity. That's why I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, I want you to take one concrete step towards expanding your network. Maybe that's RSVPing to a local entrepreneur meetup. Perhaps it's reaching out to someone you admire on LinkedIn. Or it could be as simple as striking up a conversation with another mom at school pickup about your business idea. Whatever it is, take that step and then come back and let me know how it went. You can email me at Jenna, Jenna, @jenna.coach. I'm here to celebrate your wins with you. As we wrap up this episode, and thank you for everyone who's stuck with me on this one, I want you to remember this. Networking isn't just a business strategy. It's about surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support you as you build the life and business of your dreams. Every connection you make, every conversation you have is a step towards becoming the entrepreneur you aspire to be. It's about growing not just your business, but yourself. So I challenge you to take action. This week, make one new connection, attend one networking event, reach out to someone in your existing network. Take that first step and then another, and then another. And before you know it, you'll have built a powerful network that propels your business forward and supports you every step of the way. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. You have a whole community of fellow mom entrepreneurs cheering you on, including me. I believe in you, and I can't wait to see where your networking efforts take you. So until next time, keep dreaming big and taking action. You've got this, mama.
Before we wrap up today's session, I want to talk to the mom who's been nodding along, feeling seen and understood. Maybe you've been thinking about leaving corporate and building your own business, but you're not sure where to start, or if it's even possible with everything else on your plate. I'm here to tell you it's possible. I've helped moms go from a vague business idea to replacing their corporate income, and I've supported others in discovering their passion and signing their first client, all while balancing working in corporate and balancing family. My one-on-one coaching program is intimate support and helps you develop the strategy and accountability you need to move your business forward. As a mom myself, I understand the unique challenges we face in prioritizing our own needs. And that's exactly why I specialize in working with moms just like you. If you're ready to explore what's possible, there's a link in the show notes to apply for a free strategy session. This isn't a pushy sales call. It's a genuine conversation to see if we're a good fit for each other. And if you're not quite ready for one-on-one coaching, you can join our free Mom Entrepreneur Circle, a supportive community of other moms who are on this same journey. The link to join is in the show notes as well. Remember, you don't have to figure this out alone. Whether it's through the podcast, our free community, or working together one-on-one, I'm here to help you create a life and business you love. Now go take that next step. Whether it's big or small, just take it. I'll be here next week with more strategies and support to help you along the way. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of How to Quit Your Job, a mom's guide to creating a life and business you love. If you want to learn more about how I can help you stop making excuses and start making moves, head on over to www.jenna.coach. I'll see you next week.